Hi everyone, thanks for joining. My name is Vereen. Today I would like to share something very practical, how AI can support end-of-life component sourcing. This sharing is based on my personal pain points in the semiconductor supply chain, things like time pressure, risk, and uncertainty. I will walk you through how different types of AI can help at different decision points and how we can use them responsibly in EOL sourcing. This slide explains why EOL sourcing has become so difficult today. First, the scale. Hundreds of thousands of parts are going end of life every year. That means buyers are forced into the open market more often than before. Second, component life cycles are getting much shorter. In the past, parts lasted maybe 10 years or more. Today, some last only a few years. So buyers have less time to plan and react. At the same time, counterfeit risk is rising. The global counterfeit market is huge and it keeps growing. When supply is tight and parts are obsolete, fake parts appear very quickly. This is a reality buyers are facing today. Shorter life cycle, higher pressure, and higher risk. That's why we need better support, not just harder work. So the question is, how can AI actually help buyers in this situation? This slide compares two very different buyer experience. On the left is the traditional way most buyers know very well. Inbox flooded with emails. Many suppliers you have never heard of. A lot of time spent Googling, checking, and second guessing. Most of this work is manual. It takes days, sometimes longer. And even after all that hard work, the risk is still there. One wrong decision can cost a lot of money and reputation. On the right is what happens when AI supports the buyer. AI reads the email first, it sorts suppliers by risk level. It highlights patterns that look suspicious. The buyer doesn't lose control. Instead, the buyer saves time and focus on the most important decisions. The big difference here is speed and confidence. What used to take days can now be done in hours with fewer blind spots. So now take a look how AI actually does this step by step. This slide shows the full picture of how AI supports a buyer step by step. It's not one AI, it's a combination of different AI skills, each doing one job well. First, AI reads documents and emails. This uses something called language AI. In simple terms, it helps the system understand text like email certificates and websites, the way a human would scan for key information. Next, suppliers are sorted by risk. This uses classification models. It learns from past examples and groups suppliers into low, medium, or high risk, similar to how buyers already think but more consistent. Then, AI looks for things that feel unusual. This uses anomaly detection. It doesn't need to know what the problem is, it just knows this doesn't look normal compared to everything else. After that, AI checks connections between suppliers. This is called entity resolution and network analysis. It links names, emails, and domains to see if different suppliers may actually be related. Then we move to risk scoring. This uses predictive models. It combines many signals and gives a score to help buyers compare options and prioritize attention. Next, AI recalls past lessons. This is knowledge-based AI. It searches past case, emails, and decisions so buyers don't repeat old mistakes. Finally, generative AI helps with summaries. This is the AI that writes and compares information, but it does not make decisions. And this orange box is critical. The buyers always makes the final decision. So the real value here is not automation, it's better support, faster screening, and clearer risk visibility in hours instead of days. Now, let's zoom in to the first step, how AI reads what buyers don't have time to read. Before I go into the details, let me explain what NLP is in simple terms. NLP stands for Natural Language Processing. It means AI that can understand human language, like emails, websites, and documents, instead of numbers. Think of NLP as a very fast assistant that reads first before the buyer does. In EOL sourcing, buyers receive a lot of text every day. Emails from brokers, certificates, websites, even WhatsApp message. NLP scans all of this and pulls out the important information automatically. It looks for things like stock quantity, date codes, packaging, and certifications. It also checks if the information makes sense across different sources. For example, if an email says factory access, but the website looks like a trading company, NLP can flag out that mismatch. The big value here is speed. What takes a human hours to read, NLP can do in minutes. The buyer still reviews the final shortlist, but instead of reading everything, the buyer focuses only a few offers that look consistent and credible. Once AI has read and extracted the information, the next step is sorting suppliers by risk. After AI reads the information, the next question buyers usually ask is, can I trust this supplier? The first part is classification. This uses machine learning that learns from past case. In simple terms, it groups suppliers into low, medium, or high risk. the same way buyers already do in their head, but more consistently. So instead of every buyer using different judgment, the logic is shared across the team. The second part is anomaly detection. This is slightly different. It doesn't try to label something as good or bad. It simply says this looks unusual. For example, prices that are far below market, very large volumes for new companies, or packaging that looks too perfect for old parts. This is important because fraud doesn't always look at the same as before. AI helps catch patterns we haven't seen yet. Together, these two steps act like early warning system. They help buyers avoid too good to be true offers before money or time is wasted. The buyer still decides, but now the buyer has clearer signals and fewer blind spots. Once we know which suppliers looks risky, the next step is checking if they are really independent or secretly connected. Let me first explain what entity resolution means in simple terms. Entity resolution answers one basic question. Are these really different suppliers or actually the same one? In the open market, risky suppliers often don't disappear. They change names, emails, or websites. To a human, they look like different companies. Entity resolution uses AI to connect small details like email domains, address, directors, or websites to see if they point to the same underlying entity. This is where network analysis helps. Think of it like drawing a map. Each supplier is a dot, and shared details become lines between them. When many lines connect to the same dots, AI can see patterns that humans usually miss. So instead of looking at suppliers one by one, AI looks at the whole network. For buyers, this is very powerful. It prevents false confidence from thinking there are many options when in reality it's the same risky source. This helps enforce blacklists, identify risk clusters, and avoid repeated fraud, even when suppliers try to rebrand. The buyer still decides, but now the buyer sees the hidden structure behind the markets. Once we understand who is really behind each supplier, the next step is deciding which option carries the highest future risk. This slide answers a very important buyer question. What is the chance this sourcing decision goes wrong later? Predictive risk scoring uses machine learning that learns from past outcomes. It looks at many signals together: supplier history, document quality, market behavior, and past incidents. Instead of saying yes or no, AI gives a risk score. This helps buyers compare options in a consistent way. The key difference here is timing. Most problems in EOL sourcing shows up months after delivery. Predictive models help us think ahead, not just react after something fails. The risk score is not the decision. It guides what action to take. Low risk follows standard checks. Higher risk triggers more checks, approvals, or testing. For buyers, this creates a clear and defensible process. When questioned by quality teams or management, the decision is backed up by data, not gut feel. In short, AI helps buyers move from reacting to problems to preventing them. The next question is, how do we make sure we don't repeat mistakes we already learned before? These slides cover two types of AI that people often mix up, but they do very different jobs. First is knowledge-based AI. This answers a very practical buyer question. What did we do last time? In many companies, buyers rotate roles quite often. Knowledge gets lost in emails, folders, or people's memories. Knowledge AI helps bring back past decisions, test results, approve alternates, and even past incidents right when the buyer needs them. This shortens the learning curve a lot. Instead of taking more than a year to learn from experience, buyers can learn in months. The second part is generative AI. This is the AI that writes and summarizes. It's very good at saving time. It can summarize supplier profiles, compare offers, draft RAQ emails, and help document decisions for management. But this is where guardrails matter. Generative AI should never approve suppliers, decide test requirements, or override compliance rules. It can sound very confident even when it's wrong. That is why the golden rule is simple. Generative AI drafts, humans decide. With the right guardrails in place, AI becomes a strong support, not a risk. This slide shows the same EOL situation handled in two different ways. The scenario is simple. A DDR3 part goes EOL. Suddenly 50 broker emails arrive. On the right is a traditional approach. Most buyers recognize this. Day one is spent just reading emails. The next few days are spent Googling suppliers, checking websites, and asking around if anyone remembers these companies. By the time a decision is made, it's already under time pressure. The decision is not careless, but is based on incomplete information. On the left is the AI-assisted approach. AI does the heavy lifting first. It reads the emails, sorts suppliers by risk, flags unusual offers, and checks hidden connections all within the first hour. It also recalls past experience, like whether a supplier has been used before. By midday, the buyer is not overwhelmed. They are reviewing a short rank list with evidence behind it. The key difference is not speed alone, it's confidence. The decision is made with clear trail of reasoning, something buyers, quality teams, and management team can all stand behind. This slide shows a simple way to get started in 3 phases. Phase 1 is a small pilot. The goal is not perfection, it's to test value with very low cost and low risk. Even simple tools can already save time. Phase 2 is purpose-built. Here, teams test more specialized tools and focus on high-risk EOL parts. The goal is to prevent just one incident. That alone often justifies the effort. Phase 3 is full-scale. AI becomes part of the normal sourcing workflow. Systems are connected, teams are trained, and results are measured. The key message here is important. You don't need perfect data to start. AI improves as you use it. Start small, prove value, then scale. Let me close with a few simple takeaways. Firstly, AI does not replace buyer judgment. You are still the decision maker. AI helps by handling the heavy work, reading, checking patterns, and comparing risk. Second, start small and scale smart. You don't need a big system on day one. Pick one pain point, prove value, then build from there. Third, the ROI is real. In EOL sourcing, preventing just one bad incident can already save many money. That alone often pays for the AI tools. At the bottom is a quick readiness check. If you already have supplier data, clear pain points, and a team willing to try, we are more ready than you think. And one last thing, if you find this useful, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be sharing more short practical videos on AI for supply chain. No hype, just real use case. Thank you for your time, and I hope this helps you take the first step. Bye.